I've seen this question asked a lot since the Cosmere minis came out. And today I kind of want to address it head on that this is like asking a Sanderson fan what reading order to read the Cosmere books. Anyone you ask is going to have a different opinion, and it is hard to determine what is right for you until you understand kind of what you want to get out of your painting experience. So I want to start out with kind of going through the thought process that you need to go through, giving you some recommendations on some good starter sets, and then talking about what paints I use consistently in my painting. So to start off, this is a graph that we're going to go through. Over here on the left, we have quality, and on here on the bottom, we have time. So this is the axis that we're going along. What I've added here are some reference lines of right here. The first line is tabletop ready. This is okay quality miniatures. They look good on the tabletop from far away. They look pretty good on your shelf. Parade ready is more, it's up for like a competition standard. And then pro, those are pro level, Golden Demon, that kind of stuff. There are two main types of paints that people typically talk about. First one is traditional acrylic. So here you'll see that this is a general trend that I've seen with myself is I started with traditional acrylic. So the time it took me to get to tabletop ready minis it took some effort, right? It took me some time to get there. And then getting up to parade ready it takes even longer, right? And then getting up to that pro level is quite the journey. Now, I am not a pro. Heck, I barely even get any that are parade ready. I really focus in on this tabletop ready instance, right? So taking the time to get there, it typically takes me about 1 hour per mini if I'm really focused to get it to that tabletop ready with traditional acrylic. Now there's another type of paint called speed paints. They go fast, so it takes a little bit of time to learn how to use them, and then all of a sudden you're at this tabletop ready quality. But then in order to get to parade ready, you're going to need to learn some of those skills of those traditional acrylics before you can get up to that parade ready and on up into the pro level. So putting these side by side on the same graph really helps distinguish the differences between these type of paints. Traditional acrylic, it takes you longer to learn some of the foundational painting techniques. But once you get there, you kind of have the advantage as you get up into parade ready and on up the scale. Speed paints is kind of the opposite of that. It's really fast to get to tabletop ready, but then you have to eventually learn the traditional acrylic skills and brush control, wet palette, all that kind of stuff to get up to that parade ready and beyond. So the gaps that you see here, this orange area, speed paints enable small effort to get decent quality minis. I can tell you, I've talked to people, they can paint a mini in 15 minutes and it's ready for the tabletop. Whereas with traditional, it takes me an hour. Folks are getting 15 minutes to get tabletop ready. That's impressive. As I mentioned, at some point, you'll start using both type of paints because as you learn about the painting hobby, you'll get into more that kind of stuff. And then up here on the top, traditional skills learned earlier pay off. If you start with traditional acrylic, you have to learn those foundational skills in order to get up into this range, and you can get there faster. So looking at this graph, I hope this helps you understand where you should focus your efforts when you're thinking about what kind of paints to buy. And from my experience, I started out as traditional acrylic. It took a long time to learn these skills, and it's really kind of frustrating sometimes. So if that's something that scares you, I would definitely recommend the speed paint route, where you get something that looks decent pretty fast, and if you want to dig deeper, you have a great runway to go through to get up to that parade ready and professional level if you want. So the set that I recommend would definitely be Army Painter's Speed Paint Starter Set. This is Army Painters really kind of up in their game in this area, and this is a great set. It's going to give you lots of good colors to work with, and it'll get you started great. What I would add to this is getting a traditional acrylic white and black, just to have those on the edges of your color scale. If you want to go more of the traditional route, picking up this Fanatic starter set by Army Painter would be great. This is a different formula than the Stormlight Kickstarter paints were. This is a newer formula by Army Painter. From what I've seen from people in my Discord community, they love this kind of stuff. So this is a great resource to have. So with that, I'm going to jump over to my painting desk and show you what paints I use consistently. And they will almost all be traditional acrylic, but I'm starting to use more of the speed paint, contrast paint, and you'll get to see what my list is. Look in the description for a full list of what I have and what I would recommend to new painters. We're going to start over here, and here I have a white, a black, and a gray. Okay, so these are really boring colors, but having that kind of range, right, the white, the gray, and the black, it gives you options and kind of gives you those two endpoints of your color palette. I use them all the time for various things. Here I'm using Model Color by Vallejo for these. These two are from the Stormlight Miniatures, Premium Miniatures starter set. For me, the quality doesn't really matter that much, although it should matter more. But I found that these are useful to have. So any kind of white and any kind of black and any kind of gray, highly recommend. All right, on to silver, or like the armor. So I use Leadbelcher from Citadel, and this is the base coat for all of my armor and swords. So any kind of steel will have this Leadbelcher on it. And then I immediately follow that up with a Nuln Oil. I highly recommend Nuln Oil, Leadbelcher as well. That really gives it a gritty armor thing, and so you will want to have some kind of way to brighten it up, and so that's where kind of a shard blade silver from the Stormlight painter set or a more lighter silver would be helpful. But in reality, this combo will get you 80% of the way there for steel armor. The next combo for gold armor is Retributor Armor by Citadel, and then Reikland Fleshade. This combo is fantastic, and it gets some really great results for any kind of gold armor if that's something you're looking for, or kind of gold embellishments on the armor. The next set over here is my browns and tans. And to start out, this Bugmans Glow is a must for me. I have to have this color. I use it on every single mini, I feel like. It is the base coat for most of the skin that I do. It's the base coat for most of the wood and my leather. So skin, wood, and leather always gets Bugmans Glow, because for the skin, I can go up a shade for more pale skin, or I can go down a shade with more darker brown, right? But it all starts with Bugmans Glow. This is a must-have. These browns, you see that I have both here. They're slightly different, but I like having a brown of some kind just for the wood to make it a darker wood shade. And yeah, you always need a brown. And then this tan is good for, as I said, a lighter skin tone highlight, or a darker skin highlight, right? So having these on hand is good. I've also used a combination of darker brown and light tan to do my Shattered Plains, my Shattered Plains basing. This next one here is Agrax Earthshade by Citadel, or Strong Tone from Army Painter. I use these interchangeably and almost interchangeably with Reikland Fleshade. They're all shades that help darken the browns and the tans of your palette. So having at least one of these will be important. I have multiple, but have at least one. Then for some colors, for Parshendi singers, listeners, red, Mephiston Red by Citadel, I can't live without. This one I go to every single time. Some of you might be saying, hey, where's Carapace Red from the Stormlight miniature set? This is hot garbage. Do not get this. This Mephiston Red is so good. highly, highly recommend. And then right across with the humans, especially the colon house, Macragge Blue by Citadel is one of my go-tos. And those of you who are upset that I'm not saying colon blue because colon blue is hot garbage, but this Macragge Blue is pretty close to colon blue, and I use it all the time. So those are my blues and reds. And then last but not least, I have off black and off white. So this off white is Corax White from Citadel. And then this, I call it charcoal black. This is Corvus Black by Citadel. I use these a lot. I'm using them a lot more than I am my black and white, but they help add just a little bit of contrast to those really light areas and those really dark areas. These are great to have on hand. Okay, some honorable mentions. I am planning to do some more videos about the different kind of paint types, but there's so many videos out there about contrast paints, speed paints, traditional acrylic paints. Suffice it to say, I am new to the speed paint realm, okay? So, but I'm starting to explore it, and I really, really like it. So some of the standouts that I've seen so far, Bloodangels Red. This is really good for carapace on singers. I did this on this magnified one. This was all done with this speed paint, and it took like 5 minutes to get all that red on there. Super fast, super quick, great detail. So Bloodangels Red by Citadel. The next one that I'm really enjoying is this Snakebite Leather by Citadel. I'll pull up one of my Asish spearmen. I use this to stain the gold brass armor on this model so it turns into a bronze. And I also used it to stain the Bugmans Glow on the leather. And then, yeah, so this is a great stain to really enrich some of those, like my leather color and my armor color. But you can kind of use this, as it says, Snakebite Leather, right? So I'm really enjoying this one. This one, Highlord Blue, I used this on some Alethi Spearmen. Here's one. So here I have my Alethi Spearmen, and I had a zenithal highlight here, and I just put that Highlord Blue all over his clothing, and that was just one coat, one and done, right? One coat, and he's painted up. And then the Snakebite Leather, you can see the leather pieces on this one. Highlord Blue is great if you want to move fast, and I think it goes pretty well with Macragge Blue. To see them side by side, this guy, I used the speed paint Highlord Blue on his clothes and then Macragge Blue on the flag itself. If you look really closely, you can see a difference, but who's looking that closely? I don't know. So maybe I could get better at matching these two colors, but for now, they're working great for me. Then a few more I want to talk about would be Ashen Stone and Fire Giant Orange. I got these specifically for testing them out on this troll miniature, and I think it worked out fabulously. Okay, this did not take me long at all. It was under 40 minutes. Painted it up. I just put a coat of Ashen Stone on the shell, and then Fire Giant Orange. I put 2 coats of it on the carapace, and it turned out like this. I do want to mention I have some other paints that I'm working through. So I have some like technical paints, some oranges, some yellows, purples, greens, right? These are all niche use cases. I use them when they're needed, and I will go buy one paint pot or one paint thing for a project if I need it. And that's how I'm kind of growing my collection. But these are all niche. You don't even need to worry about what the names are. Here's some more. I have 5 other ones that I haven't really even used. I don't know why I have them. But some things I do want to note is you'll notice all of these right here. All of them are from the Stormlight Miniatures painting set. Hot garbage. Do not buy the starter set of paints. These paints are really bad. And it's because it's off of the old formula that Army Painter used to do. Army Painter now has a new formula that is actually really good. A lot of people on my Discord really like Army Painter's new stuff. And so if Brotherwise has changed their recipe for this starter set, I would recommend it again. But right now, stay away from the starter set unless it's with the new, I think it's called the Fanatic War Paints line. These are not them. They are really bad. Not to say that you can't use them. I have painted several of my miniatures with those paints, but they are rough. Okay, so those are the paints that I use. Hopefully you found that useful. Do you agree with the must-haves that I had at the beginning of what paints I need to have on my shelf? I will try to put a thing in the description so you can kind of see them all listed out. But hopefully you found that useful.